keys. All right.
Well, good morning and happy Monday to you on this November 20th. How was your weekend? I hope you had a great one. I told you on Friday that if you wanted to get those Christmas decorations up, that hopefully you did so over the weekend, because now we're starting to talk about rain and we're talking about colder weather, so it's not going to be fun if you have to do it now. We, however, have been ridiculously blessed, of course, with the weather. If you are new to the show, I'm Monica Adams. It's The Real Monica Adams, where we talk about things that affect you, but we also give you positivity. We give you a little hope. We bring some light to your life when it feels like it's so dark. We've started this back in March. We started right here in these studios on June 12th, and we are so thrilled for each and every one of you that come on every morning with us on Facebook and on YouTube and have been spreading the word. I just want to say hi to some people that I met over the weekend, Rhonda, as well as Maya and Aisha. There was a few other ladies that came up and said hi. I stopped by Clayton Winehouse for their big fall open house. Did you get a chance to go to that? That was on Saturday. It was nice to see a lot of people show up, and also the Mobile. We didn't get a chance to try out their wonderful smash burgers, but everybody was raving about them. They looked great. We, however, stopped by and went to dinner at Trattoria Marsala on Saturday night, finally getting a chance to see Jamie Komarek and thanking him one more time for everything he did for us for our very first evening with The Real Monica Adams. We had that at Clayton Winehouse, and if you haven't heard, we raised $18,000 for Yuppie Puppies Forever Rescue, and we had a chance to drop that check off about a week ago so they can continue to do the incredible work that they are doing. Cristiano, by the way, is supposed to be going to his new home today. I cannot wait to follow up with them. I think it's going to happen around noontime today. So in about 5 hours, I will be checking in with them, and I'll let you know how that all went. He's joining his new pack, which somebody said it definitely looks, when we showed you those pictures last week, it looks like he belongs with that family already. So Cristiano, best of luck to you, sir. And Peppy was adopted from our event at Clayton Winehouse. So it's really cool to see not only the money we were able to give them to continue to pay forward to the vet bills and everything that they need for the dogs, but also to see the animals get adopted. I hope you had a great weekend. Again, feel free to let me know what you did or what are your big plans for Thanksgiving. For the first time ever, I believe, in my life, we are not going anywhere. It's just going to be me and Jim and being thankful for each other. My cousin, who usually has Thanksgiving, he's got a bad back. I think he has to have surgery. And his daughter, who usually always says, nope, we're having this. I don't care if Dad can't have it. We're having it. She's actually expecting a baby very soon, maybe even this week. So, of course, they couldn't host it. So that means everybody starts going, oh, no, what's going on with the tradition? It's sad, isn't it, to see traditions stop after all these years? So my father, who is behind me on a daily basis, on my shoulder, my dad, it's always his family that we usually get a chance to celebrate with. But unfortunately, not this year. I hope that tradition doesn't end. If it does, I've always said it would be so amazing to be able to host a holiday, because Christmas Eve is always with my mom's side, Thanksgiving always with my dad's side, but both of those traditions over the years, just because, people pass and then the younger generation's not wanting to take it on, I do. So if by chance they can't continue it, I think next year I might start a new tradition. Where do you go for Thanksgiving? Let me know throughout this week, and let me know what you're thankful for. I want to kick the week off by saying I'm thankful for you, each and every one of you that say how much you love this show. Give us ideas for new topics, and please do so, by the way. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Let me know what you would like for us to cover. We bring you stories sometimes that like really totally make you cry, and then other ones that make you laugh out loud, and they make you think, and they educate you. That's what we want to do on this show. No more negativity. We bring you what you need. By the way, weather-wise, it's going to be in the low 50s today. Expect rain, though, on and off throughout the day. Maybe a shower tomorrow, and then it's going to break away for clouds. The high right around 49 tomorrow. We're going to look at a high of about 50, 51 on Wednesday. Thursday, though, on Thanksgiving, looks gorgeous, sunny, and in the low 60s. So there's your forecast. That's the news that you can use. Today's show, we're going to give you that horrible story, but then we're going to tell you what a woman wants to do to change stricter driving laws when people are driving drunk. She lost her husband and son almost 10 years ago. They were in their early 20s, a head-on collision with a person driving almost 90 miles per hour. She could have lost her life. Well, she's still here, and 10 years later, she's talking about going to law school because in 10 years she hasn't seen anything change, and she wants those laws to be much stricter. So see what the woman is doing, this hope that we're talking about. What can change in these horrible stories? So don't just look at the story and think, oh my gosh, this is devastating. Think about what can be done and how can you change and taking more responsibility for your own life. Look, we've got taxis and Uber and Lyft. There's no reason to be out there driving drunk. Also, it's Medical Monday, so Dr. Charles Willey joins us. And today we actually have guests that will be joining and being able to talk with Dr. Willey. So new things on a regular basis. Pam and Nancy will be asking about osteoporosis and celiac disease. And then we'll look at your questions as well. So a very packed show. We're going to get to it. Destiny will be in the blue chair when we return. Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com. Well, welcome back, 7:07. It's the Real Monica Adams Show, and we love having you with us. Remember, tell people to watch on YouTube if they cannot watch on Facebook, and that way we can spread all throughout the world wherever they need to watch. Destiny Klimaszeski is my guest. We're going to be talking about an incident that happened almost 10 years ago and what she wants to do to change you driving drunk, even buzz driving. These are, you see these signs on the highway, even one drink, 2 drinks. Again, always designate a driver, or maybe you get in touch, have Lyft or Uber or taxi. There's so many things that you can do now. There's no reason for it. We're going to go back almost 10 years and tell you the story that happened first, and then we're going to come forward to see what's been done in the last 10 years and what she wants to do about it. So Destiny, first of all, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
This is a horrible story that I want to thank again Mark for bringing this to my attention. He met you just, a handful of months ago?
Actually, just a few weeks ago.
Weeks ago.
I wonder if it was just something that was meant to be, somebody
Absolutely.
helped catapult some change as well.
Well, he said that he was like, Monica, I knew that you and Destiny needed to talk and that you have a platform that can really bring out hope for this. So Destiny, this is a devastating story to go back to, but I know that you are now trying every year, every day to be changing these laws, and we'll talk about where you are. But Corey and Parker, first of all, tell me about them. That was your husband and son.
So growing up, I was always just a shy, timid little girl, essentially. But with Corey, I was able to grow up with him. We met when I was 15 years old, and we got our first jobs together. We learned how to drive while we were together. We grew into adults while we were together. And he was just one of the funniest people. People knew of me because of him. And we were able to go on to have the sweetest, cutest, brightest little boy. But that was just taken, really quickly and unexpectedly.
And what was the date of this accident?
September 20th, 2014, a day after my husband's 22nd birthday.
He's 22 years old. You're 21 years old.
Yeah.
Your son, 15 months old?
Yeah, he was just almost 15 months old.
So what happened on that day?
We were on our way to an appointment. I buckled my son in rear facing. I nursed him before I put him in the car seat, and we headed to an appointment like we would any other time. But about 2 miles from where we were going, we were hit nearly head on, and everything that I knew about my life was forever changed on that point.
And there is the car. Oh my goodness. You were, like, you
Yeah.
and your husband were airlifted,
Yeah.
right? Did your son die on impact?
Yeah, he was instant.
Oh.
So
I'm so sorry.
I guess the only part of solace that comes with that is knowing that they were never afraid, or there was no, they didn't feel pain because it was so quickly. So my little man wasn't scared. And that's the comfort that I find, I guess, in the instant.
Wow, you are so grown up so quick, Destiny. It's like people on a daily basis, they go through life, and I'm sure you're the one that really can help change this mindset. Think about your life right now. Think about what Destiny's telling you. Just listen to the words out of her mouth. You're not even, are you 30 yet?
I just turned 30 this year.
this
So I joke and say I've gotten to live 2 lifetimes already.
Absolutely. And so you had to grow up super, super quick, and
Yes.
here you are, a widow.
Yeah.
You're parentless when here you are so excited to have a child.
Yeah.
So you two were airlifted to the hospital, and then your husband died, what, a day later?
He died, a day later, right at that 24-hour mark. We were told that if he made it 24 hours, we would be good. But it was just right about then. It was just too much for him.
What about you? I mean, how injured were you?
Talk about a miracle that I am here after looking at that vehicle.
Absolutely.
But they were just surface injuries, nothing major. I could have been released if it wasn't for the mental trauma, probably that day even, But I stayed a few days for observation, and I just went home with basically a broken heart, because the pain and trauma.
The trauma, and I'm sure, anybody that's ever been in an accident, it's you always have that PTSD
Right.
of, hey, slow down, or, watch out for this, watch out for that. So have you ever gotten over that? I mean.
No. I actually feel like up until this year, I was able to run from it, and I kept myself so insanely busy that I didn't take time to feel the pain or just the effects of it. I just worked so hard. But this year, it finally caught up to me, and I couldn't run anymore. So I was able to do therapy, and I feel like it's just helped a ton being able to actually open up and start working for these changes,
Well, and that's the biggest thing. So if you're just tuning in, this is Destiny. We're talking about an accident that happened just over 9 years ago. There's 2 10s, though, that we're going to tell you about. So Parker would have just turned 10 years old.
Yeah, he would have turned 10 this past year in June, which is kind of crazy how that turns out. His birthday's June 23rd, and it's also International Widow's Day that day.
Oh, my goodness.
So, just makes you think a little more, But yeah, he turned 10, and we did a really big birthday drive for him to help kids in foster care. We donated over $10,000 worth of birthday supplies and bedding, and that was phenomenal to spread their love and keep their memory alive.
So you had a post that you put out and said no child should ever not be able to celebrate a birthday.
Correct.
And then you had, 3 Amazon trucks pull up?
My now husband was making breakfast, and he's like, you're going to have to go answer the door. Because Amazon, they never knock on your door. They just drop their stuff and run. And the poor guy had a whole box truck just filled, and it happened 2 more times after that. And it just kept coming and coming. And
the community really can be incredible. I mean,
absolutely. And it was near and far. It came from all over, different countries even. And it was just phenomenal to support, and seeing things like this just shows how much change that others really want too, but there's just not really a voice for that quite yet, or someone fighting for that change.
Well, Destiny and I were talking on the phone, and I said, Destiny, it was about a month or maybe a couple months ago that we had Angie Maui on, and you said, I think
Yes.
I've met her, or
Yeah, I've met her.
Luke Maui, as many of you know, was the young boy that was killed outside of the St. Louis Zoo by a drunk driver.
Right.
And we hear these stories too often, and that's what's frustrating to you, is in almost 10 years, you don't see that there's been any changes.
No, there hasn't been any change, and I feel like most recently, there's been quite a few accidents with younger kids, drinking and driving, and it's in the same county that sign is in, and it's been hard to see that not much has changed, if anything, and it just continues to happen. So that's when I decided to go back to school, and with year 10 coming, not seeing the change, I figured, there's no one else more passionate than myself to bring this change. So I just got tired of waiting for somebody else to do it for me.
So, I mean, again, a mother's love,
Yes.
a wife's love, 10 years later, come on, let's do something about this. So she decides to go to law school. And you're like, then I'm going to try to make change. When we talk, Destiny, about one person people always think, can one person really make a change? Yes. But you have to have that fight in you, and you do.
Yeah.
We will say this, you have since gotten married, and you have
Yes.
2 children.
Yes.
So... but it's got to be hard, because probably in the beginning of that relationship, talk about that, because so Brett is your husband.
Brett
now?
is my husband now, and like I said, I had never had another boyfriend before Corey. So just dating in general, being so young, I was not experienced at all, and it was nerve-wracking. You get in those times where you're like, is what I'm feeling normal, or you're very back and forth, because you don't really want to be with anyone else.
Sure.
You want to be with your person that's not here anymore, but you also have to accept reality and know that no matter how much you cry or no matter how angry you get, they're not coming back. So I just didn't want to let my future die, like my family's, like I wanted to achieve like our dreams, and I knew that I deserve to be happy as well. I didn't choose this life, it chose me. And my husband now, he's phenomenal. There's not a jealous bone in his body, and he's just as passionate about this fight as I am. And he gets to write a book about my family that passed away, with how much he knows about them, and he had never met them. So I definitely say he was sent from above, because he was there when I needed him.
Oh, and that's powerful. We're going to take a break, but I want to talk a little bit more about that, because it's got to be hard, as you just said, no matter what age you are.
Yeah.
But you're so young, and you had never dated anybody before, Corey, and then you meet Brett, and I'm sure in the beginning it is, I want to be happy, but wait a minute. I had a life before you. I was married. I had a child, and that was just ripped away from me so quickly. So I'm sure it's hard to try to go through that. And you have to have a person who's very, very patient.
Absolutely. He definitely was, because I was very much back and forth, like, I want this, I don't want this, stay, go away, stay.
Yeah.
So
we're going to talk about that. We'll have more with Destiny, and we'll look at some of your comments as well when we return.
Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show since we launched back in March. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Personal training, life coaching, and styling as well. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com.
Welcome back. It is 7:18. Destiny Klimaszeski again is my guest, and we're talking about a horrific accident that happened just over 9 years ago that took her son and her husband instantly. You're in this marriage. You're so happy. You've got a 15-month-old child, and then devastatingly gone. What do? You pick up the pieces. You try to find happiness again. Destiny does meet a new man. She gets married to Brett. She's got 2 children. But it's always hard, because you're like, wait a minute, I had this life that was taken away. That PTSD, that trauma, all that heartbreak. You have to go as she just said, back and forth and back and forth. Looking at some of your comments, Marilyn said, I'm so very sorry for your loss, Destiny. So horrific. You are incredible to survive in every way possible. You're so inspiring. Kathy says, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for sharing your story. Anybody that wants to pass along comments to Destiny, I'll look at them here. Well, as we went into the break, Destiny, I said it had to be hard. And you said, oh gosh, yes, I was back and forth and back and forth. But when you realize someone is so dedicated to you and has the patience, he had to have had an amazing amount of patience, and probably still to this day.
Yeah, he does. And I feel like he knows me probably better than anyone else does, because he's been there to help pick up the pieces. The day of my accident, nothing, when I say nothing, was the same. I never walked foot back in our apartment again. You know, we didn't have our vehicle anymore. Everything we worked hard for, I didn't have them anymore. So walking into that house, like, I never walked back into that house, like, my family expected that there would be more hands-on help needed after that, and moved me in with my parents. So I needed somebody from the outside who didn't know me, who wasn't going to be sad every time I spoke of them, to be my person, to listen to those stories and be okay that I cried and it didn't hurt them. And he was that person for me.
And, one of the biggest things when you go through something like this that you need is support. So you have, and you are part of a widow's page. Tell us about that support.
So I would say 4 years into my accident, there were still so many of those questions, like, what do I do? What do I do? What's normal? Is what I'm feeling normal? And I looked everywhere for a community that I could relate to, and it just didn't exist. So I had somebody reach out to me, and she's like, hey, I'm going through this too. And I sat on her couch and I was like, there has to be more of us. There has to be something more. And we created this group that's local in the St. Louis area, Modern Widows Club. We had our first meeting with like 4 people on her couch, and in 4 years it's grown to over 800 members. And it's just, we're trying to instill hope in showing that there still is a better tomorrow. It's not always going to be as hard as it is today, but there's people who get it, and you're not alone in this walk.
And it's on Facebook?
So yeah, we have a Facebook group, and we ask some security questions to get in to protect everybody. Yes. But we meet the second Sunday of every month at Shamrocks in St. Peter's, and it's just a way for us to connect with one another. We don't have to share our stories, and we don't, it's not a group to where we cry all the time or anything like that. It's just, you don't have to say anything, and you just know that they get you. And that's so heartwarming.
Well, and it's got to be powerful, because for those of you that have been around for a while, you can help guide those that come for the very first time, because people are so lost. I mean, you were there, so lost, and think, I think I belong here, but I don't know what to say, and you can help them along with that. Yeah, and I think that it brings comfort, just them being able to look at others and see where they're at in their journey, and listen to them and see like what they've gone through and where they've been and where they're going, and it just brings comfort. And that spot to where you could be in a room full of people and still feel lonely, I think that we take that away for them, because they're not alone anymore. So for those of you that are in this same boat, you didn't sign up to be, as we said, you didn't want to be widow. Modern Widows Club, we're showing it right now for you. It is a private group that you can look for on Facebook. Again, 800. Yeah. You have had a huge following, and I wish you would have it for other reasons.
Me
but
too.
You're 24,000 or something on Facebook when you posted about the accident. It went viral.
Yeah, so I think early on, a lot of media outlets and just people in general just began to follow me and my story, and wanting to know what happened and how I was kind of surviving through this. And I had a post that was 1 year after my accident, just sharing kind of my thoughts and feelings raw. I pride myself in being raw and sharing the transparency of this journey, and it went viral. And since then, I've just had a really big following, and I continue to just bring awareness, to the dangers of drinking and driving, and share kind of the raw reality of what it's like on a daily basis.
God bless you for doing that.
Yeah.
As I said, you would hope that, all these influencers that out there, I've got thousands and thousands, great, but if you've got the platform, do something good with it, which is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Have you been called an old soul before?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. And even growing up, I never really had friends my age. I just kind of like went to the beat of my own drum and did my own thing, and it's kind of paying off now.
It absolutely is. Well, and that's the thing. While you would love to be able to have Corey and Parker back, it is when people don't do anything with a loss, that's when it's lost.
Yeah.
You take this and say, how can I help carry their legacy forward every day?
Yeah, and I never want their memory to be forgotten. I never want them to be forgotten, or the kindness or love that they spread throughout the world. And so I am that person that will make sure that the world doesn't forget who they are and how amazing they are.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you want to talk about and bring awareness about is how easy it is. This it always has been.
Yeah.
If people would have said, "Hey, we're going out to a party tonight. We're doing this. Hey, can you drive?" And then always switch around. So it's not always take. But if you're going out, you want to have you're having a party, whatever. Make sure that you have a designated driver. Or now
Right.
it's Uber and Lyft and taxis and all of that. But you talk about just even 1 or 2 drinks.
Yeah, just 1 or 2, because it's even setting just the tone that it's okay to do, and it's just not. At what point do you know when that 1 or 2 has technically crossed the line and you've added 1 or 2 more? And it's just showing others that it's okay, and it's become something that's so socially acceptable. When you go to a restaurant, I find myself looking at tables and I can see that 1 glass of wine turns into 3 glasses of wine, or that 1 margarita turns into 3 or more margaritas, and it's just setting the tone that it's okay. And when you're going to restaurants with your children and you do have that 1 drink and you try to go tell them later to not drink and drive, they've watched you grow up doing it. So it's almost hypocritical, I guess. And it's so socially acceptable, and it doesn't have to be. 1 in 3 people will be affected by a drunk driver in their lifetime, and that is just such a high statistic that I am determined to change.
So are you entered into law school already, or this is the path you're looking into?
This is the path I'm looking into. I'm currently doing prereqs. I started school when I was way young and had no passion to, make any change or what I wanted to do with my life. And I found that passion now, and I started this summer full time. Like I said, I have a 3 and a 5-year-old now, and I was up till midnight last night doing homework. But I find it worth it, and it's worth it.
Wow, you're an amazing woman, and yes, I can definitely see the old soul that was in you before this. But you had to grow up so darn quick, but you are such a wonderful role model for your children, and I can't wait for you to show them this as they grow older, for the power of what they've gone, for what you're going through. Cindy Williams, do you know Cindy? Cindy says Destiny is such a powerful voice against drinking and driving, and widow advocate. Julie says I love Uber, no reason not to use it. I have to say, you really got into my head over the weekend, and I thought, I will say, we can have a drink. And I went to an event on Friday night to support a friend of mine, and everybody else was there. They kept drinking. They're like, these young girls were like, "Oh my gosh, I love your show!" And they're like, "Hey, do a shot with us." And I was like, "No, thanks." I said, "I'm driving." "Oh, come on, you can have one." I was like, "Yeah, see, wow, it's just out there." And if someone's not strong enough, they'll go, "Oh, okay." As I continue to see them drink, and I was like, "You are Ubering, right?" They're like, yeah, we're Ubering back to the hotel. I'm like, okay, because I have to drive. I have a 40-minute drive, and this isn't happening.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Destiny, we're constantly in my head Friday night.
Thank you.
So you are definitely changing, and I want you all to think about that, because, I think, we think, we can have a glass of wine. Okay, it's going to be a couple hours, and then we won't be driving. But wow, I think from here moving forward, we all need to say, who in this group is driving? It just doesn't. It's not worth it, because this is exactly what can happen. Here she was going out on just what time of the day was this, by the way?
It was around dinner, so like 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, and someone's that drunk. I did ask if that person was in prison, but you said that she died.
She had passed away. She was a multiple offender, so it was her 6th DWI. So why was she out to do it again? I don't know.
It was her 6th DWI?
6th, yes.
See, folks, and that's why she wants something to be changed.
That's where the law changes are coming into place.
Look, I hear about it on a regular basis. My husband is a lieutenant with the county police, and what they've seen, and going up to these accidents. And as you said, it's all these things that you had to start taking care of afterwards of, well, now I'm I don't have a child, I don't have a husband.
Yeah.
How do I get past this? And I hope on a daily basis you continue to take care of you.
Yes,
That's
it's
important.
definitely something as I've gotten older that I've learned how to do a lot better.
Good.
But it's been part of that growth.
Well, let me recap again. Destiny has a group that any of you that think, wow, I need that kind of support, you can look on Facebook. Again, it is the Modern Widows Club of
Correct.
St. Louis, about 800 plus people. It's a private group, so they'll ask you a few questions, and then please don't go at it alone. I think that's one of the biggest messages that we can get to you is don't think that you can do this alone. You have to have support.
Absolutely.
And this is when you really do find out who your true friends are.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, family and friends that will be there for you. And then you can also follow her. What's the easiest on social?
If you just type in Destiny Klimaszeski, that long fancy last name,
Can we put her name up so people can see the spelling of this?
I pop up. I'm pretty easy to find.
There you go.
Yes.
Chapter co-leader of the Modern Widow Club. And I just stay in touch with me, please, because
Absolutely.
I'd like to know on your journey. I know you're going to change the world. I
I'm
can just feel
determined.
it.
Yeah.
I can feel that.
Thank
you,
you.
Destiny. Again, I'm very sorry for your loss, but I'm so glad that you have found love again.
Yes.
And thank you, Brett, for loving this woman and being patient with her because that's a big deal. Thank you,
Yes.
Destiny.
Thank you.
And to all of you, we'll continue to look at your comments. I'll make sure that she does as well, and she can interact with you. It's Monday, so that means it's Medical Monday. Dr. Charles Willey is going to join us from Innovare Health Advocates. And we actually have two guests that are going to join. This is brand new. If you, by the way, on any day say, hey, I'd love to be a part of that discussion, I can lend something to that. And if you can't be in one of my chairs, then maybe you can join in from a link. So we have Pam. She wants to talk about celiac disease. And we have Nancy, who wants to talk about osteoporosis. So we got a packed half hour coming up.
Carroll House Furniture is growing and hiring for many positions. Drive to success, delivering concierge service and setup in customer homes.
Enjoy teamwork in our clean, organized warehouse where Carroll House stocks for fast, free delivery.
Associates sell more and make more with 3.5 acres of choices in stock, infinite custom orders, plus the lowest prices in the country.
If you like top pay and the best benefits in St. Louis, you'll love working here.
So if you like nice things, join the Carroll House Furniture family.
Well, the warmer weather is exiting and colder weather is upon us. Have you been putting off getting that heater inspected or fixed? Well, that's like pushing your car to fumes. You don't want to be left feeling empty and cold. Let Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist come to your rescue to take you out of the miserable cold inside your home and help warm you, your home, and your hearts. Don't put it off or you'll be stranded inside in the cold. Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they've got you covered with 24-hour availability. al-don.com.
$7:32, and once again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you missed the first half hour and you're just now tuning in, you've got to go back. What an incredibly strong woman. Destiny Klimaszeski, and people are saying, so sorry for your loss. Powerful, thought-provoking. Please get a designated driver. Destiny's strongest woman I know. Yes, that woman is going to change lives, and I can't wait. I can guarantee you she'll be back on the show as we continue to follow her going into law school and saying something has to be done about this. It's also Monday, as I mentioned, Medical Mondays, and that is Dr. Charles Willey. Ask the Doctor. We're going to start something new today. So on future Mondays, if you would like to join in on the conversation, we'd love to have you. We've been talking about this, and Pam actually wanted us to talk about celiac disease, and she missed. We briefly talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but now Pam is actually on with us. Pam, I know you want to speak about celiac disease, and when it's something that's diagnosed and it's brand new, people are so lost. So, Pam, are you here with us?
I am.
Okay, so Dr. Willey, can you hear her?
I cannot.
You can't hear her? Pam,
Barely.
go ahead and talk to Dr. Willey.
Hey, Dr. Willey, are you there?
Yep,
Okay, she
Okay.
can hear.
that's better.
So what are your biggest questions right now, Pam?
Can most, when you are diagnosed, is family supposed to be tested as well?
Yes, it's 1.5% of the population in general, but if it's in your family, it's 20%, so yes.
And so who has been diagnosed, Pam?
My daughter, she was 10 years old. It's been 13 years now. And the kids, other kids have been tested, but I don't believe me and my husband has been tested. So our doctor kind of thinks that it shouldn't be tested.
Oh,
Shouldn't be?
Yeah, it should not be tested, that we don't need to be tested.
Well, if you've gotten this far, you don't have any symptoms, you don't have any of the big symptoms of celiac, which would be loose stool, abdominal pain, etc., weight loss. The probability is lower, but it's a cheap date. Get a test.
Uh-huh. The other thing is, should my daughter go to a GI doctor more frequently?
Well, how's she doing? She's got the diagnosis. Is she following the diet? Unfortunately, we don't have
She's
a pill
following
for
the
this
diet,
yet.
but she's following the diet, but there's times that she has really bad symptoms. She gets really bad cramps and stuff.
Yeah, she probably should have an endoscopy periodically as well. So it would be good to have a gastroenterologist relationship, not necessarily see that doctor every time, but have that doctor work with her internist or family physician.
what are her biggest symptoms that she deals with?
She, there's times that she has bloating, and sometimes it's just really cramping. But I mean, a lot of times her symptoms are all different. But she seems to think that she might be lactose.
Oh. She's got a couple things going on then. I can speak firsthand. My brother was diagnosed almost 25, I guess 30 years ago, and he has it really, really bad. I mean, we talk about going, like you think about Thanksgiving and people going into the holidays, and he used to always have to be fearful of, people would say, oh no, I made it this way, and then all of a sudden he would get those horrible pains, and so then you would know that there was cross-contamination, which you have to be worried about. You can have little crumbs. You should always be cleaning out your utensils with little crumbs get in it. It's a serious thing that if you're not doing that and you think, oh my gosh, maybe that's why. If crumbs fall in and there's a cross-contamination issue, or you use the same pot, say you're using something else that has gluten in it, that's all. It's a whole new life once they're diagnosed.
Yeah, there'll be some who are very severe like that, and others not so much. But if you're having symptoms, push harder and harder on avoiding gluten. And then, unfortunately, the gut is central to many of the conditions that we get.
Yeah.
You know, stress among them, and every chronic medical problem causes stress, and so it's hard. It's difficult to sort out.
Well, Pam, and I guess, I mean, I have to say, it's got to be hard. He wasn't diagnosed, I don't think, until he was like in his 30s maybe, but gosh, for a 10-year-old, and you think of all the events and things that they want to go to, and just, you know,
Yeah.
with their friends, or even going to like a concert or a game or whatever, and they want to grab something quick, they can't. Has it been hard for her mentally?
I believe so. I think that a lot of it was at school. The kids didn't believe her and stuff like that, so it made it really hard on her. So, yeah, I believe it had been.
It's a little bit easier now because, I mean, you think of the advancements that have come in the last 10, 20 years. In the beginning, when no one knew about it, you had to make all these things from scratch. And we've got a picture, actually, that I put together that's all of the different flours that you have to use. And make it a little bit easier on people. But you also can walk through the aisles of a grocery store now, and there's an entire aisle of gluten-free. And you've got menus where there's gluten-free food. So it has at least gotten a little bit easier. Do you feel that?
I do feel like it's gotten easier, but it's still difficult. I live in Washington, and there's a lot of places here that do not have restaurants that don't have it, and there's a few places that don't have gluten-free, so it's hard to find it at times.
Have you had, there are a lot of support groups out there and things that you can follow on Facebook. I know my sister-in-law did that right away for people like share recipes and give you a little assistance.
I have gotten on some of those sites. I need to find some more, just as additional backup.
I'll make sure that I'll talk with my sister-in-law. Make sure that I hook the two of you up because I think you need some help with that. Any other questions with regards to what you've been going through with your daughter? And I think maybe one of your biggest things was, do we have to get tested? Is it something, Dr. Willey, that could years down the road possibly create a problem? That because my brother, he lived until he was 30 not knowing that he had this.
Yeah, it might not manifest until much later.
Okay.
I might have said last time my first experience was in my residency 43 years ago. An elderly gentleman died of starvation from malnutrition from gluten enteropathy. We were able to diagnose it with the endoscopy then, but he spent 70 years without much trouble. So if it's mild, it'll slowly damage the small intestine, but if you're alive long enough to slowly damage most of your small intestine, then you might malabsorb and start to have the symptoms. So it's a lifelong, and some people it'll go fast and damage it quickly, others more slowly.
Pam, can I ask you,
prevent it.
Was your daughter colicky?
Yes, I would have to
That
say,
is the biggest thing. Every doctor that was helping my brother said that's something for mothers, young mothers right now. Think about they started to tie in if it was a colicky child. They're like, you might want to have them tested because it might be gluten, right?
Yep, it can be. As
So
a
think
child
about
not
that.
thriving.
Think about that, young mothers. By the way, Pam, any other questions? Oh, she's at work. She had to take a call. Okay, well, Pam, thank you, by the way, for joining in on the show. And yes, celiac, my sister-in-law was like, oh my gosh, I could join Dr. Willey and talk for hours about this, everything that she's been through. Any last things about celiac before we take a break, and then we're going to talk about osteoporosis?
It's one of those things. So if you know 100 people, you know one or two who have celiac disease. That's how common it is. Diabetes, if you know 100 people, you probably know 20 people who have diabetes. But it's sneaky, and it's persistent. So remind your doctor. If you have got GI symptoms, say, hey, doc, what about celiac disease?
Is it a simple test? Is it a blood test?
Yeah, it's a couple of blood tests now.
Well, and for some people, as you had mentioned, they might not have this very full-blown celiac disease problem. Some people just say, I don't know, I'm okay, but I feel a little bloated. So then it's more of a gluten intolerance or a sensitivity?
Well, it's a matter of severity.
Okay.
But confirmation requires a biopsy.
Okay.
But the tests are pretty good. There's circumstance where the blood test alone, convincing diagnosis, don't need the biopsy. But
I don't think I've ever asked this before. If somebody has a gluten intolerance or a gluten sensitivity, can it get worse and become where they suddenly do have celiac disease?
I think what's happening, as I said before, is it slowly permanently damages the small intestine.
Okay.
There's the architecture of the small intestine has lots of. It's like a wheat field. All these filaments that grow, and lots of surface area to absorb the nutrients.
Okay.
And you're gradually destroying your wheat field.
Which, by the way, celiacs can't have wheat.
Can't have wheat over time, yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because I think when people first hear about it, they're like, okay, well, what's gluten? Oh, I can't have wheat. Oh, gosh, no. There's so many things. I mean, there's sauces. There's so many things that gluten is in that when you really do have it bad, you're reading labels left and right. And you saw all those spoons of the different flours that you can use. And you have to. It's life-changing, depending on the severity of it.
Or the caveman diet.
Yes, which we talked about last week.
Meat and vegetables, protein and vegetables.
Yes.
If you can't catch it, pick it or shoot it. Don't eat it.
All right. So, Pam, thank you again. Oh, somebody just said good suggestion about the crumbs in the utensil tray. It amazes me that clean utensils even build up the crumbs. Yes, it's just a little tip for you. So, Pam, thank you again for joining us with that question. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Nancy is going to join us. Nancy wants to talk about osteoporosis, which I mentioned last week, Dr. Willey. She's in her early 60s, and from a mental standpoint, she's really disheartened by it. She's frustrated. So we want to try to give her some hope and possibility and tell her what she can do do with this. Osteoporosis, our topic when we return.
Think about this. When's the last time you called your doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning and he actually answered? Well, at Innovare Health Advocates, their patients are special. Their doctors, nurse practitioners, their care team care deeply about your health, your family, your work, and even your pet. Their clinicians are accessible and they lead your care in and out of the hospital. In fact, Dr. Charles Willey offers his cell phone number to his patients to ensure they can intervene early in your illness. They can provide care above and beyond, offering lab, x-ray, echocardiogram, and other treatments in their office. Innovare Health Advocates with 5 locations on both sides of the river. Check them out, innovarehealth.com.
Welcome back, 7:45. It's Monday, so that means it's Medical Monday. Ask the Doctor segment with Dr. Charles Willey. We started off with celiac disease, and again, if you have a topic, and this is one of the things we've been mentioning over the last few weeks, if you have a topic, let me know in advance, and I can pass it along to Dr. Willey. He also has some great ones that he wants to discuss every week. You can see right there, innovarehealth.com. It is healthcare the way it ought to be. It's doctors that are there for you and truly care about your health. If you have a doctor that you say, gosh, my doctor's not doing this or my doctor's not doing that, I don't feel like they really care about me, well then that's why you might want to switch. And right now it's open enrollment, which we mentioned last week, so you might want to start asking. Give them a call or go to the website, again, innovarehealth.com. They have locations on both the Missouri and the Illinois side. So Pam, thanks again for the topic about celiac, and now we've got another topic we want to discuss. We haven't had a chance to go in depth on this one. Nancy is actually on with us now. Nancy wants to talk about osteoporosis because she was just diagnosed, Dr. Willey. Nancy, how old are you?
65.
65, and she was just diagnosed. So what are your questions for the doctor, Nancy?
So my first question, I guess, would be is, after I was diagnosed, my doctor put me on Boniva, so I've started that. And then I just started doing some research on things that I can help my body. So my first question is, what types of things should I be doing to help prevent that I don't fall?
That you don't fall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like how do I train myself for fall prevention, kind of? I know about the rugs and things like that, but are there other things that that I could be doing, like balance work or?
Do you have difficulty walking at all?
No,
Do you miss a step?
no, I'm
Do you have
very
a balance
active.
concern?
Okay.
Do you exercise already?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I strength train like 5 days a week.
Oh, well, you should be leading the class, not just taking the class.
She's one of my clients, and so she's remarkable because when she first came to me, like a lot of women, she was like, "Oh, I can only lift like 3 to 5 pounds,"
Yeah.
and she went out. What's the heaviest weight you've purchased, Nancy?
35 pounds.
35 pounds.
Yeah.
So she's doing the right things, which a lot of women
Yeah.
should follow this.
That would be fundamental and the best thing you can do. Weight-bearing exercise to help strengthen your bones, but Monica, do you shadow box? Do you?
Yes.
Yeah. So doing exercise that has you moving your feet, dancing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Yeah, all that stuff is superb. And
Okay.
do you walk? If you walk, I would
do.
recommend
She's a big hiker.
hiker. Do you walk
Yeah.
hike with hiking sticks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. Well, you are a model student. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but I'm still worried about, I'm worried because I've already been diagnosed with osteoporosis. So the whole,
Do you know what
thing
your
about
you know what your number was?
oh, shoot. I know my spine was like minus 2.5.
Okay. So negative 2.5 is the cutoff between lower than that, we call it osteoporosis. Above that, we call it osteopenia. So not terrible. Did you get your vitamin D checked? Vitamin D
Yeah,
level.
yeah. Yeah, no, so I had my vitamin D checked. I'm good on vitamin D, good on calcium. We did magnesium, PHT, and another one. She had me do 3 more tests after I was diagnosed. Everything's back as normal.
Good, PTH. Yep. So that's good. Then weight-bearing exercise. So consider a backpack with gradually more weight on it, one that fits your back really well and supports your posture. But consider,
When she's walking?
yeah, when
So
you're
like
walking.
those rucksacks?
Yeah.
Oh,
Gradually-
Nancy, do you do that?
I don't, but I can get one of those. I do have a weighted vest that
Okay.
what do you think about weighted vests like around the house doing, work and like housework and things?
A weighted vest, which is similar.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
How much weight are you putting in it?
It has 6 pounds.
Fine. I would consider gradually increasing it and probably have the weight, I don't know about the vest, but mostly on the back. to
Okay,
support,
yeah, I think I can
you
do
know,
that. Okay.
your lumbar, natural lumbar curve. You know, when grandma told you to sit up straight, she said, arch your lumbar out with the chest, shoulders over your hips, right?
Yep. Shoulders back, chest high, which we talk about actually regularly when we're working out. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting, though, for all of you that think about training, if you're just walking, we can't stress it enough that you need to be doing weight bearing. Young girls now, it's a thing. They really love to work out, which is great. But if you haven't been lifting, which fortunately Nancy's gotten more and more into that, what about the way she eats or supplementations or vitamins?
I think it's pretty simple. Make sure your vitamin D is adequate. You know, we tell folks to avoid the sun so they don't get skin cancer. It seems like culturally we drink less milk than we used to, which is where a lot of vitamin D came from. But a vitamin D supplement's a cheap date.
Okay.
Yep. So take vitamin D and be active.
What's
Calcium, most people don't need extra calcium. And, 40 years ago, we recommended a calcium supplement, but probably not necessary given its availability in foods.
So from a vitamin D standpoint, how much should she be taking in daily?
Well, if somebody's level is really low, I start with a giant dose weekly for 6 weeks, and most people settle out with about 2,000 units a day.
Okay. And Nancy, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay, Nancy eats vegan. So I do know that. You started that how many years ago?
It's 9 years right now.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel sorry for her.
Oh, stop it. Why?
Oh, because I couldn't do without
he likes
my
the caveman diet.
couldn't do without my
But
steaks.
it is a good question. So with her being diagnosed with osteoporosis, are there is anything in her diet maybe that she needs to include if she's open to it?
Well, perhaps calcium and vitamin D should be paid attention to, but vegans can be. You're taking a vitamin B12, I hope.
I am, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because B12 comes from critters.
From
Yes.
critter.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, so if she is vegan, I mean, what would be her greatest protein sources that might help with this?
Well, she's the expert on vegan protein. Legumes.
And those are all good. I'm just, because sometimes I've had people in the past who are like, well, I really want to do vegan, but if I need to be incorporating something, I'm okay with maybe being 90% or 95%.
Yeah. I think it would be difficult to get enough protein that way, but if she's energetic and
Yes.
good, strong muscles, and
I think just the biggest thing
Trainable,
is the
yeah.
fact that just being told you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, it's what it does mentally. Is that the case, Nancy, that you were just like, oh, well, come on, I'm doing everything right. I don't want to be told I have this.
Yeah, I put my head in the sand for a month, and I was shocked that I had it for all, with my activities and everything that I do. So it was a surprise.
cheer up.
Yes.
You can make it better, and you will.
Just continue to do the things she's doing. But I think the greatest thing is, yes, I didn't even think about doing the weighted, the backpack or the rucksacks that they have. But again, not heavily in front of you, behind you.
Supporting your that posture.
And then if you're not, you said you are doing walking sticks when you're hiking?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're doing a lot of things great. Smile. I like when I see her smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nancy, any other questions?
Nope, that would be all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nancy, thank you for being a part of the show today. So again,
Thank you very much.
osteoporosis and celiac. Anything else about osteoporosis for anybody else that's early diagnosis? Because you hear that. And by the way, if somebody that like my mother was diagnosed with osteopenia, I think she has osteoporosis, either or. Would that mean that I need to be getting tested or be watching for that?
You know, every woman should, for sure.
Okay.
You know, one of the disadvantages of not having as much testosterone is your bones, a woman's bones will thin sooner.
Okay.
So,
what's the test to know about this?
There's a couple of ways to measure bone density. The most common is called DEXA. It's a machine it's X-ray technology that focuses on the hip or the spine, but it can be done with a certain calculation from a CAT scan.
Okay.
That's also the way.
So if I were to come into you, I would say, hey, my mom has osteoporosis. I'm 52 years old. Should I be tested for this?
You should.
Okay, well, then you and I are going to see each other soon.
Well, but
he is my doctor, by the way.
Yeah, but I can tell you where to go get the DEXA. So.
Okay, but that's how they do it. It's you can't have blood tests, et cetera, done.
Yeah.
Because I just had a bunch of labs done to test testosterone, free testosterone, progesterone, my vitamin D levels, having all that done to see where I am.
Okay.
And it's a good indicator, right? To say, well, gosh, I'm deficient in this or I'm low in this. People don't have their labs done enough. Don't you agree?
Yeah, unless they're coming to me.
Right. Well, and then
we'll get her done.
That's the biggest thing that I want to stress. That is that if you're not, or if the doctor's not testing these things, a lot of aspects of life, we've got to catch things early. But so with Nancy and anybody else that says, hey, I've got osteopenia, here's Linda. I was diagnosed 4 years ago, had a test this summer, and my numbers have improved. Hang in there, Nancy. You're on top of it. So they can get better because of what we're doing?
Yep, that's right.
Oh.
Especially if your vitamin D was low, especially if you weren't active.
Okay. Kathy said Nancy's an inspiration when it comes to strength training. Yoga, great for balance.
Yeah.
And that's a big, well, when I was training all the seniors at Friendship Village, we worked on, I love the fact that you said shadow boxing. And Nancy, if you're still watching, Nancy actually comes to my Saturday morning class, but Monday night, so tonight, I teach boxing. Boxing and shadow boxing. I tell them to do shadow boxing regularly for their own homework.
Yeah, you've heard the phrase use it or lose it. I add to that, move it or lose it.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah, keep moving. It's so important in every disease or condition we treat. Got to be moving.
Alendronate?
Alendronate.
Alendronate. Linda says she takes that once a week. Is it okay to take these drugs long term? I hate taking drugs. I do all the things Nancy does, and my number was the same. I eat a lot of nuts, dark green vegetables. I walk 4 to 6 miles daily, and I do yoga sometimes. I also take an extra vitamin D. So she wants to know, is it okay to take these drugs long term?
So alendronate, the bone that alendronate will help you build is not as good as natural bone.
Okay.
It's better than osteoporotic bone, but not natural bone. So that's why there's a threshold that's been chosen by research that below 2.5 consider alendronate.
Okay.
The further below, the more you should be on it, because the more severe it is, you won't be able to build it up on your own enough. But if you're -2, exercise calcium, weight-bearing exercise, because above -2.5, the bone you can build on your own is better than alendronate bone.
So if somebody were not doing all these things that we're talking about, what would happen with osteoporosis? I mean, I know your bones become...
Oh, they become thin. And so, a person will be sitting there like you are and all of a sudden have a severe pain in their back and one of their vertebrae have collapsed.
Oh?
It's a spontaneous fracture.
Okay.
It can be bad enough that someone would be, doing some manual labor with an arm and fracture.
Really?
And certainly fracture easier on a fall.
Because they're so frail.
Because they're
And
frail.
the bones are brittle.
Yeah.
And then obviously if they were to fall, That's where, and my mom was leaning over to, something was falling, and she leaned over, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh. And I think she did something to her ribs. And I was like, well, Mom, you got to watch these things. She's got good balance and she works out on a regular basis, but I think sometimes it's like, she forgets that she's 85. You know my mother. She forgets she's 85 and she forgets she has osteoporosis.
Well, I don't know her well, but I've seen her here.
Yes.
She's 85 going on 72.
She's 85 going on 50, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Age is an attitude.
It is, right?
Move it or lose it.
Donna says, good morning. Great program and information. Thank you. I'm scheduled for bone density tests soon and all annual tests. Good. It's good to know. Stephanie said, I add chia seeds to food. Are they good for you or can they hurt you?
Don't know about that.
About chia? I have as well. I haven't done it in a long time. I used to put them in my shakes, Stephanie. There's a lot of research that says yes, but it's different supplements. We can look into that for you. There's a lot of people that just want to add different aspects, but sometimes I think you think we're adding things and we don't know if it helps or not.
Well, often we don't.
Yes.
Not good research.
Because there's not enough tests done.
Not enough research.
Okay, so once again, Medical Mondays. If you have something that you would like Dr. Willey to talk about in future shows, please do me a favor. Email me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Go there to InnovareHealth.com. And if you are looking for a new doctor, I wanted to introduce you to Dr. Charles Willey because I thought he would be a good one for you.
Teacher?
Yes. You don't have to raise your hand. Yes, I will call on Dr. Willey.
Can we talk about how taking care of mom, grandma, great-grandma, great-granddad next week?
Oh, absolutely.
Thanksgiving's coming up. Mm-hmm. Family will be together, and about noticing things about parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and
slight changes, big changes.
And so how to get ready.
Yes.
For the
to
how to notice the forgetfulness, etc.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We're going to do that next Monday. I also know that Jay, who works with Dr. Willey, wants us to talk about COPD on a future show. So we'll do that maybe in a couple of weeks.
But none of your your followers are smokers, right? So
they better not be. Yes. Oh, you're welcome. So she said, "Thank you. Good topics." Okay. Hi, Doc. Is too much soy bad for us?
Not that I have no information that would be true.
Soy, I think, I've heard people say in the past that, we've heard that. Now, I think that's a good question, Marilyn. I'd like first, can you do me a favor? Can you look into that a little bit more? Because I was told from a estrogen standpoint that if we have too much soy, that it could create a problem.
You think it's robbing you of estrogen, or?
I want you to look into that for me because I've heard too many things, and I have actually heard that in the past of you can have some soy, but you have to watch to have too much. So that's a good question, Marilyn. Okay. There we go. There's one. We'll have Dr. Willey look into that and address that for you. I know Marilyn watches on a regular basis. She'll be on next Monday. Marilyn, by the way, if you would like to join, if anybody else wants to join, like Pam did or like Nancy did, we set that up in advance so you can become a part of the show and you can ask Dr. Willey questions. So yes. Is too much soy bad for us? We'll address that. We'll address what it looks like to take care of parents, grandparents, the things to be watching out for, slipping a little bit, they're mentally changing. Are we dismissing these things or what should we be looking at? Yes. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
3 of the 4 kids are coming to town.
So you host?
Well, the boss will
The
host.
Boss. Happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
Well, thank you, by the way, for being a part of the show. We love having you a part.
Yeah.
What do you think? Overeating? Should we talk about that today?
Oh, my.
That might be a good one.
Yes.
We either that we could do, let's see. We've got shame, we've got depression, fear and anxiety, anger.
Well, we might as well do overeating.
Okay.
It's the season.
It is the season. That's why I was thinking that. Okay, let's do overeating. We'll do that when we return.
Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com.
Welcome back. It is 8:04. Great show today. If you just are tuning in, please go back and you will hear Destiny's story, which was amazing. And again, what an old soul, as she wants to make stricter laws for drunk driving after losing her husband and losing her son almost 10 years ago. Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates talking about celiac disease, osteoporosis. Great questions from you coming in. And you know, we're going into Thursday, and I don't want you to beat yourself up. I don't want you to go, oh, I feel horrible. Why did I eat so much? And just go down that wrong path and layer on clothes and then wait for 6 more weeks and then say, okay, January 1st, New Year's resolution. No, let's break that. This is 100 Days to Freedom from Overeating, daily devotional from Stephen Arterburn, and day 13 of 100 days. It's called Unpopular Opinion. You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. This is Ephesians 4, verses 22 through 24. So have you ever noticed resistance from others when you try to make positive changes in your life? This is a good one. For all of my clients who are making changes, which, by the way, Dr. Willey, one of them has lost 88 pounds, and she watches everybody around her go, it's enough. You don't need to lose any more. Why are you losing weight? It's all those people. It's a lot of just push it away. We live in a society where the majority wants everyone to remain the same. If we truly want to change, we must have a heart and mind that are focused solely on Jesus. Our society is in a conflict over what to do about food, what to do about self-image. On one hand are numerous studies about the prevalence of obesity in our country. On the other hand are ads that promote what? Endless fast food options and addictions. The pandemic of sugar, fast food, and overindulgence is the slow killer of health, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Adding to this, the stigma attached to being overweight or obese, or even to use the word gluttony during church or Bible study. Talking about such things is just not polite. Unfortunately, the politeness keeps so many of us in bondage to confusion and fear and anger and hurt. Fortunately, life change is possible with the power of God, especially when you're humble and in fellowship with believers who have a single-minded focus on the unconditional love and the truth of God. Brian Houston says the starting point for building great relationships is making wise decisions about who we allow close to us. We need people who will build us up and take us forward, and good friends, by the way, will do just that. Good friends, real friends. Brian Tracy says you continually attract into your life the people, the ideas, and the circumstances that harmonize with your dominant thoughts, either positive or negative. And if you live for people's acceptance, you will die from their rejection. That's a powerful one. Today's prayer: Dear Lord, thank you for being with me on this journey. Please teach me how to steward my body, your gift to me, in a way that honors you, regardless of what people around me say or what social media promotes. I pray for a strong group of believers who I can connect with. Amen to that. That's a good one. So please, if you are struggling, look, I've told you before, I'm a personal trainer. I have been for 26 years now, life coach for the last 10 years. So I do a lot of counseling, teach you the proper way of eating, and self-love. The self-hate is way too prevalent in our society. So we got to get you to love yourself better. So to all of you, Dr. Willey's still with us. To you, to your wife, to your family, to all of you, happy Thanksgiving. And we're going to be thankful this week. I'm thankful, first of all, for you and for all of our sponsors, because without you and our sponsors, we wouldn't have this show. And I tell you what, we've got big things planned for 2024. So thank you. Again, go out, be anything you want to be on this day and every day. But before you're anything, God bless you and be kind.